This course is conflict resolution, and we'll be having 10 different modules for this course, so which implies that we are just starting. This is module 1, and the first topic for the first module is introduction to conflict, where we'll be looking at different meanings, color meanings for conflict, the types of conflicts and the likes. So nevertheless, as I've said earlier, that we'll be having 10 different modules. This implies that we'll be having 10 different videos like this for different topics under the course conflict resolution. So now the contents of the module, we have the meaning of conflict, we have the types of conflict. So under the types of conflict, we have the economic conflict, military conflicts, political conflicts, ideological conflicts, and the like. We'll also be looking at the causes of conflicts, then the breakdown of institutions or social contracts. We'll also look at the global system and the political culture. So this module is just like introduction to the main something that we'll be discussing in the whole course. So for the introduction, we have this module, that is the module, and the module 1 will introduce the fundamental concepts of conflict by also examining its nature, the types, and the underlying causes, as we have stated earlier. So it begins with a broad overview of how conflict manifests in not only in economic but in military, political, and ideological spheres. By illustrating each with contemporary and historical examples that we all can relate to, the discussion then explores the structural and behavioral factors that give rise to conflicts such as scarcity, power imbalances, institutional breakdown, and ideological differences, while also emphasizing that when understood and managed, conflict can serve as a catalyst for change, growth, and societal development. So when there is conflict, the opportunity can be seized to bring about peace. It is only when we have conflicts that when there is conflict, it's also a catalyst for change, for growth and peace, and also societal development, because many issues will be addressed during the course of conflict resolution, and this will bring about peace and growth to the different groups. So let's look at the meaning of conflict. Conflict is the friction that arises when two or more forces, goals, needs, values, or interests come into opposition. So when we have two or more forces, it is the friction that happens or arises when two or more forces, goals, needs, and values or interests are in opposition to each other. So that is when Mr. A wants this, but Mr. B doesn't want this, feel like this is right and this is not right. Then we have conflict. There will be conflict there. Conflict is a universal and permanently reoccurring phenomenon within and between society, ethnic groups, and the likes. So it is important that conflict is a universal and permanent reoccurring. It is not new. It does not look. Conflict is not something that is happening for the first time. It has been a recurring phenomenon even between and even within a society. So it is not necessarily continuous or uniformly intense. So many society experiences long period of relative peace, both internal and external. However, a certain amount of low-level, muted, almost invisible conflict goes on constantly in all society, even though apparently most peaceful conflicts could be carried on by more subtle political, economic, psychological, and social means. Several scholars have defined conflict, and according to Doherty, he defined conflict as conflict usually referred to a condition in which one identifiable group of human beings, be it tribal, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, and the likes, or political identifiable group of human beings is engaged in conscious opposition or more other identifiable human groups. That is, a physical identifiable human being is engaged in conscious opposition or more other identifiable human groups, because these groups are pursuing what appear to be incomparable goals. That is, they have different goals, different agendas. That's why there is conflict in agenda, conflict in ideas, conflict in orientation and whatever. So now let's look at the types of conflict. As it is stated that conflict is one of the most universal elements of human experience, appearing in stories, relationships, workplaces, societies, and even within a single mind. Far from being purely negative, conflict is often the engine of change. So we shouldn't see conflict as a negative part. So it should be seen as the engine of change, catalyst to change, to growth and drama. Without it, there would be no novels, no revolutions, no scientific breakthroughs, and no personal development. So the types of conflicts, include economic conflict, military conflict, and political conflict. So let's take it one after the other. That is the economic conflict first. Just as the name implies, economic conflict refers to disputes or tensions arising from competing interests over resources, wealth distribution, production, trade, or economic policies. These conflicts can occur at various levels like individual, organizational, national, or global, and often intersect with social, political, and environmental issues. Unlike purely military or ideological conflicts, economic conflicts are primarily driven by material incentive, that is, it is materialistic in nature, such as profit maximization, resource control, or economic dominance. However, they can escalate into broader confrontation, including trade wars, sanctions, or even armed conflicts if unresolved. So that is economic conflict. It is, if it is not well taken care of, it can escalate from being just profit maximization conflicts to armed conflicts. So economic conflicts are rooted in the fundamental principles of economics. We have scarcity of resources and unlimited human wants. Types of economic conflicts include interstate economic conflicts, that is between different states. We have intrastate economic conflicts, that is within a nation, and corporate or market-based conflicts. Then we have global or transnational economic conflicts. So let's look at political conflicts quickly. It is the struggle between individuals, groups, institutions, or states over power, governance, ideology, policy, or the legitimate control of a political system. So it arises when parties have incompatible goals about who should rule, how society should be organized, what values should dominate, or how resources and rights should be distributed. This type of conflict, civil war and the likes, fall under this kind of conflicts, where we have the difference in orientation when it comes to leadership. Where some people might want this social person, and other people, set of people might want this social individual. Some might want military rule, while some might want democratic rule. So that will lead to political conflicts. Unlike purely economic or military conflict, political conflict centers on legitimacy and authority, though it frequently overlaps with both. Political conflict focuses on the control or influence of the state's institutions. It can be violent or non-violent. It usually involves competing claims that what is just or right for society, and it is often expressed through elections, through protests, through legislation, through coups, through civil wars, or even revolutions, as we have said. So political conflicts are generally grouped into the following majors. We have electoral and partisan conflict, which arises within the same political system when parties, candidates, or other supporters bitterly contest elections, reject results, or engage in extreme polarization, as seen in the United States since 2016, Brazil's 2022 to 2023 post-election crisis, or recurring post-election violence in Kenya and Pakistan. So we have ideological conflict too. That's the third type, the types of conflict, the third one. So ideological conflict is a type of is a type of political struggle in which the core disagreement is not just about who holds power, but about fundamentally different visions of how society should be organized. This is still under political struggle. So what values, they see what values should dominate and what the ultimate purpose of the state should be. It is a clash of worldviews, competing belief systems that claim to offer the correct blueprint for justice. Not only justice, but freedom, equality, morality, and human flourishing. The fight is over ideas and principles, not merely personality or spoils. The ideological conflict is mainly over ideas and principles. What is right and what is wrong? What should be right or what should be in place? Yes, what should be in place? Not merely personalities or spoils. Type of conflict. We have the causes of conflicts now. let's look at, conflict does not, it doesn't just happen uh over daybreak. There will be some kind of things that will trigger conflict. So those are the causes of conflict that we'll be looking at in this section. So we have it as a conflict, whether personal, social, economic, political, or military, almost always arise from a combination of the following core causes in real life. Core causes in real life, these rarely appear alone. They overlap and reinforce one another. The causes of conflict include breakdown of institution or social contracts, the global system, and political culture. So now let's look at this one after the other. We have breakdown of institution or social contracts. When the state can no longer provide security, justice, or basic services, or when election and courts lose legitimacy, groups turn to violence to protect themselves or seize control. E.g., we have the collapse of Somalia, Libya after 2011, and Lebanon's recurring crisis. So we have the global system as one of the causes of conflict again. So another that we have global system, it refers to the interconnected web of states, international organizations, corporations, financial markets, and the likes, and non-state actors that collectively shape power, wealth, security, and norms across the planet. So the components of global system include, when we are talking about the causes of conflict, the components of global system, it includes states, international organization, multinational corporation, global finance, supply chain and critical resources, then information and soft power networks. So under states, we have still the primary actors, but their relative power varies enormously. Where we have states includes United States, US, China, India, European Union members, Russia, and the likes. So we have international organization where we have UN, IMF, World Bank, WTO, WHO, NATO, etc. So we also have multinational corporations and tech giants where we have Apple, CSMX, Saudi Aramco, Alibaba, etc. So we have global finance where we have under that we have dollar-based system, SWIFT, Wall Street, London, Shanghai, Hong, and the like. Supply chains and critical resources. So under that we have semiconductors, Taiwan, rare earth elements, China, energy routes, Strait of Hormuz, Malacca, Arctic. So information and soft power networks. We have internet governance, social media platforms, Hollywood, BBC, CNN, the Al Jazeera, RT, CGTN, global NGOs, and the like. So we have political culture now as one of the causes of conflict. It refers to the shared set of beliefs, values, attitudes, emotions, and norms that individuals and groups hold toward their political system and the authority figure. Components of political culture, we have cognitive, affective. So cognitive, under that we have knowledge and awareness of political processes such as understanding how laws are made or the role of elections. And we have emotional attachments or feelings towards the system like pride in national symbols or frustration with bureaucracy. So major types of political culture include hierarchical culture, subject culture, and participant or participatory culture. So in conclusion, as its essence, it is very inevitable. Conflict is very inevitable friction that arises when two or more forces needs, interest, values,